Okay, before we get into view print size, I just want to show you real quick. This is going to be a condensed version of just calibrating a monitor. I take this very serious when I used to do photography at a professional level. What I want to show you now is this is a Calibrite profiler. They bought out Color Monkey. I previously had a Color Monkey, which is this right here. The monkey logo is still on it. I've had this thing forever, and it's treated me really well, so I'll just stick with it. But what I want to do is just show you through that this is the version I have now compared to Calibrite with the version I used to have with Color Monkey. So what I want to do is just start walking through it, and then if I hit my Cintiq 24p, here's one, then here's one del, and here's another del. One del is right up above, and then the other del is behind me for the references to paint traditional paintings from. So I have three different monitors. They're set up completely different. What I'll do is just walk you through this real quick just to show you what it'll do to actually calibrate. I'm not going to do even all the steps either. Now all I have to do is hit next, and then it'll start measurement. And what I want to do is, I'll show you right here, we'll do the RGB and contrast, and then hit continue down here, and I will have to put the calibrator right here in the middle of this circle, and then it's showing me what to do over here to take this back over. Because what this does is, if I take this back this way, then what this does, it'll even show me a red X that now it's wrong. What this does is measure ambient light, and then also it measures reflected light off of the monitor. But we're not going to do that right now. We'll just show you real quick. But I'm going to run you through all 118, and then now I hit next, now that it's ready to go. Now what it'll do is ask me to calibrate as close as I can, that it's giving me a green check mark. So right now my contrast is fine where it's at. I hit next. Now this is my RGBs. The RGB, I have to wait a second. Okay, they finally kicked in. Now all the red, green, blue are all okay where they're at. That I just tried to get them manually as close as I can to where they need them to be to start with, to then fine tune it. And then hit next again. Now this is the brightness adjustment. I'll wait till it works on the brightness and see how bright I need to make it yet, or if it's bright enough. Okay, now that I brought it up, it's right here, my brightness. It's still a little bit low, so I'll take it up 1 to 6. Now I'll see it now drop down. Now it's 6. It's perfect. So I'll leave it at 6. I can close this out. I'll just save that. Close that out. Hit next. And that's it. Now I'm ready to start. Now it's going to run through 118 patches along the bottom of every different patch of color and value, and then it will determine what was off and what was not off. And right now you can't see it because I have the light coming from this way down and then reflecting off this way. Since I have the strobe light at a 45, when I look back this way, I can barely see this text at all. It's reflecting so bad that I could barely see any of this and read it, only because it's in a really strong glare. But the way I set it up so you could see what's going on is just reflecting off and going away from the camera. My point is, even the reflections from my hand would cause distortion of the color calibration of that monitor. Very important. Once it is done, I will have the opportunity to save this as the most recent updated profile. From my experience, unfortunately, most art students do not have the background or technical equipment to create such profiles like photography students did. This is very important for pre-press or production. Okay, that's it. It's done calibrating. Now I could go to next. And this is the comparison of all the colors of the befores and afters. Now, most of them should not be too different because this was just calibrated not too long ago. The reason why I'm doing this is I'm going to be showing you two monitors side by side in a vertical shot, that one is calibrated and one is not. And I'll show you the difference. But right now, I could hit just next, and that's it. It will ask me that if I want to save it, and what I could do is just save it by the date, Cintiq Pro 24p. You could choose what you want as a prefix, suffix, and then if you want it to remind you again in 4 weeks, username. This is what I named my computer, just a Republic of Gamers RTX 4080, and then the email address, which I have to blot out, and then that's it. And then if I hit save profile, that is it. It's recalibrated again. Now it'll give me options, and if I want to upload my own pictures to see the before and after, but just for example, this is the before and after here. We won't have to worry about that. We'll go into the two different monitors and you'll see right away, side by side, which one is completely different because it's not actually calibrated, and that will be the Dell. Let's go ahead and do that next. Okay, you can see that the monitors are different, the grays of the background, and the colors will be different also. This one is calibrated, this one is not. I'm also going to get into a couple of different settings of two different monitors and also two different DPI sizes. Now, I don't want to confuse you, but what this has to do with is what monitor you're going to be using it on and what DPI size you're going to be using at all times. It's a lot easier for me that I always use 300 DPI no matter what. Not because I'm overly technical, but because it makes it a lot easier for me for all my settings, for all my tools, brushes, everything. I expect then the same thing that I get all the time. When you start experimenting with DPI sizes, you may run into troubles down the line that you never thought of. This one is a Dell Ultrasharp 1920 by 1080, but this is also 12 by 18 at 200 DPI. Now at 47% on the navigator, it is exactly 12 inches. So being that it's a 12 by 18 and I want to view it at print size, I have to set it at 47% and I'll get an exact 12 by 18 on my monitor. Now this one is a Wacom 4K. This one is 3840 by 2160. Now this one has to be at 62% for a 12 by 18 at 300 DPI. So again, whatever DPI you're going to be using, keep it the same, otherwise this number will change. Your numbers will always change if you start experimenting with different DPIs, even if it's on the same monitor. Now this one, the same thing. If I put this one at 62% and this is a 12 by 18 at 300 DPI, then right now it is exactly 12 inches. So that also should make it 18 inches tall. Now the way I could prove that is if I set it to both of them now are fit to screen. This one, this line should be 12 inches the whole way across. Then what I did was just basically generically figured out my center with no measurements at all or anything to keep everything consistent. Then this is the half of my paper. So that means from here to here should be 9 inches at 62%. So let's put it back up to 62. And now if I have to move the paper, because keep in mind my viewing area is only 11.5 by about 20.5, the whole up and down, left to right. So if it's bigger than that, then I would obviously have to pan the image, painting, whatever it may be anyway. But now if I measure from here to here is exactly 9 inches. So it's also exactly 18 inches high by 12 inches wide at 62% on this particular monitor at this particular DPI. So again, if you're going to work on the same monitor all the time, it might be best to use the same DPI. If not, these numbers might change. Now, if I go back in one last time and just say, for example, I want to edit the canvas size right here, and I'm going to make this 16 by 24. That would be the same format. And if I hit enter, and that's it, now it's a 16 by 24. Okay, now this line, being that it's the same format, this diagonal line should continue right down to this corner, which it will. But then this one also would be 12 inches from here to the end of this line. So if I put this back up at 62%, that means from the edge of this line over to the edge of the paper should be 4 inches. Let's try it. I'll put this back up to 62. And now you can see that because I have 20 inches, it's already completely out of my working area into the panels. But we're not worried about that. All we need to do is measure this from here to here and see if that's exactly 4 inches. And it is exactly 4 inches. So again, now even at a 16 by 24, it will show up 24 inches high, but I'll have to pan it back and forth to be able to see all of the picture. I obviously won't be able to see the entire picture on the monitor at print size, but it will give me a good idea to see what the image and or painting would look like at print size. But the big difference is viewing it print size on a 4K is still not the same as viewing it print size on an HD. The reason why is the amount of detail is going to be different. So depending on your printing and how you get it printed and what the surface material is, then you may get a lot better idea of what it will look like on a 4K monitor versus an HD monitor. So yes, you could print it and view it at print size on an HD, but it might not tell you the whole story compared to a 4K. That's all. But just to be able to see it at print size, remember, all you have to do is adjust a percentage. If I take this one back up to 47, right here, now again, this will be 12 inches from here to here, and we could double check it. That is exactly 12 inches. But again, remember, this is at 200 DPI, which is a standard setting in Rebelle, and this is 300 DPI, which is also a standard setting in Rebelle. But for me, I just use 300 all the time, keeps everything simple for me. However you do it is up to you, but just know that the more things you change, the more this number may be different. 47% up here, 62% down here. And that's how you would view at print size. Okay, just to quickly recap here. This is the Wacom 4K, and again, our magic number was 62%. So in other words, if you want to see anything print size, you'll have to figure out what your percentage is going to be and then just literally physically measure from one side to the other until you literally get the actual size on your monitor. So again, if I plug in my 62%, now if I physically measure from here to here and get my 12 inches, since this is a 12 by 18 at 300 DPI, then that would be my number. Now keep in mind, you could only get it as close as you can, since I can't make it 61.5 or 62.5. It's going to be 61, 62, or 63. And that will be what you'll be able to get out of whatever size you're working at on the monitor of resolution and the canvas size resolution. So in other words, 62 works really well for this 12 by 18 at a 300 DPI. Now again, I could, since my image is larger than 11.5, then I could either pan it this way to see the whole image, or just use my hand, space bar, and move it that way till I could see the whole entire picture to see what it looks like. And then that way you'll be able to see it at print size for any issues that you might have, that you might miss trying to fit a larger picture on the screen. As my instructors used to tell me when I was in school, everything looks great small, but once you start enlarging it, that's when you may see problems that you may not have seen when it was small. I hope you picked up something from this particular demo. I seen some issues written on the forums and other places of how to view print size in Rebelle. Please, if you have any questions, jot them down, comments. This is somewhat technical, and just so you understand that you just have to do it trial and error, which is a really good workaround if you work at the same DPI on the same monitor. So, until I see you out in the field or back at the studio, thanks for watching.